Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so the one I wanted to talk about now was what to look for in a load and what is a good and bad load. In Everyone has a different opinion, especially drivers, what a good and bad load is. It's because you will get most likely two kinds of drivers. One of them will be the one that always wants the highest rates, and they will tell you, hey, I don't care where the load goes, I just want the highest rate. And some of them don't understand that you actually have to work, be able to book a load that has the highest per mile rate. So if, for example, if they see a load that's $5,000, paying $5,000, and the load is the lane is $2,500, 500 miles, that means that load is paying $2 per mile, and they're not going to make much money at the end, because after they pay for their fuel, they're not going to be able to make much money, or even if they have their own driver that's driving that truck. So I always like to, and Emerald also likes to do that, advise them, tell them, hey, don't just go for the highest paying load, look for different factors as well, like what's the rate per mile, is the load heavy or light, what's the commodity, where does the load end up, does it end up in a good area or in a bad area. So those are all kinds of parameters that you would have to be using in order to define a good load. So you would have to explain to that driver, if they're really set on doing that, well, hey, you're making your money most likely by percentage, but it's not gonna end up well, and they might just leave, or because we had few drivers like that. You have to explain to them that it doesn't work that way. So, and then you have another kind of driver that will not look for the best paying load, and we have drivers like that as well. They will look for a load that maybe picks up early, delivers early, it's a light load, it goes to a good area, things like that. So you have to learn, with time you will learn each driver and their preferences. So it doesn't make sense to keep talking them into something that they don't want to. If you see that they're set on that, then just play along and do what you have to do. But in my opinion, a good load is a good paying load that's clean. For example, in a clean load, you can pick it up early, it will load in decent amount of time, it will deliver, like they will unload it in a decent amount of time, things like that doesn't go to one of those bad receivers like Costco or Target DC, Kroger, Sam's Club, things like that. So in my opinion, that's a good load. But all the drivers are different. So what's a bad load for sure? A bad load for sure would be, for example, a load of scrap. And we will talk about commodities right after this. But that would be an example of a bad load, because anything that has to do with scrap will leave your trailer or their trailer dirty, messy, with some kind of smell, and it's hard to get it out. The next load that they're going to have to pick, if it's food, or a clean load or something that has to have a clean trailer, and they're going to reject that trailer. They're not going to load it. So that would be an example of a bad load. So I would never book a load that is any kind of scrap. Another bad load would be, because, for example, we have a plant here in Stanwood, Michigan, and when we see Stanwood, we know it's water. And the problem with that is it's always like 46, 47,000 pounds, and it takes long time to load and long time to unload, because they usually go to DCs. They are paying well, but at the end, it's not worth it. So in my opinion, that would be another example of of a bad load. So anything that's dirty, anything that takes long time to load and unload, anything that's very heavy, anything that's bulk, that, for example, potatoes, sometimes they would just put a bulk load of potatoes in your truck, and it will leave a mess in the trailer. I spoke about that, I think, in one of those sessions, in previous sessions. So anything that's bulk, I wouldn't do that. That means it's not packaged. It's not on a pallet. It's not packaged. Sometimes they have to lift up the trailer and just dump the product. So that's not good, especially because owner-operators, they usually have their own trailers and they take care of them, and they always want them to be in good shape and clean as well. So before you start working with a driver, I would always ask them what kind of loads you like and what kind of loads you don't like, and just make a little list and then go from there. But any of those bad loads, I wouldn't even offer them, even if they like it, because you're gonna make it harder for you. It's gonna be hard to find a load after that, put on that trailer. In my opinion, a good load is anything that, like, if you know a company that, and you'll learn that from experience, or you can read a review online. Nowadays, Google, when you type in a company name, most likely like 95% of those companies have reviews. And if you see 100 reviews, that's like 2 or 3 stars, then, or 1 star, then you know it's a bad shipper or receiver. So if you see a good review, then it's probably a good company, or your other drivers were there before. Generally, smaller companies, smaller receivers and shippers, they tend to be good because they don't have a lot of product. It's like a family atmosphere. You just back up and they load you and go. These big warehouses with 100 docks, big shippers, big DCs like Menards or Walmart, like we said, Kroger's, that kind of thing. I consider them bad receivers. I'll make a note for myself, and I'll make a note, make a list of bad receivers. And I did a video about that too, a long time ago. I will include that also. So make a list of bad receivers for you. Let me see. So let's talk about difference between commodities.